Welcome to the July 25th, 2024 school board meeting. Would you please join us for a moment of silence? Thank you. Will you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, Next, we have approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I would like to make some additions to the agenda that were not placed on the original agenda that was sent out. If you could draw your attention to the orange folder. On that orange folder, I have listed the add-ons to the agenda. Under curriculum and instruction, I would like to add a job description for secondary school principals. Under maintenance, the DMS painting bid and updates on projects. Under the category transportation, I would like to add surplus items, which did make it into the agenda, but on the revised one. Under student services, school support organization renewal, we needed to add Creekwood High Schools. Under the administration portion of the agenda, I would like to look at 4 policies. A policy on its brand new opioid antagonist. 2 add-ons for pre-existing policies for Dickson County, placement in lieu of school suspension for NDA, and alternative education NDA, and a policy for a second read approval for transportation.
Mr. Parker.
Can we, under maintenance, just swap numbers 2 and 4 for the reasons of, I would like to hear about our complex update before we vote to do something on the complex, and maybe even a recommendation off the update, if that's okay with you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Thank you.
Any other additions or changes? We need to remove the Pearson contract under 3A1. Mr. Hall still needs to review that, so remove it. Any other changes? Mr.
I was
Parker?
confused.
No, Madam Chair, I was executive session for.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes, executive session is at the top. I meant to read that out.
Do we want that at the bottom, Mr. Hall?
At the end.
Any other changes?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderboard,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderboard,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have public comment on actionable items. Okay. Next, we have recognitions.
Madam Chair, Board, we are excited to announce that we are recipients of a Good Lark Educational Foundation scholarship. We have here tonight with us and Miss Andrea Albright. Miss Andrea, if you'll come forward, please. Miss Jennifer Adams and Miss Jennifer Law. These three ladies sat on the Good Lark board, and Miss Jennifer Law has been meeting with Dr. Marvin and me regarding the opportunity, and we'll stand up here because we want to get a picture, regarding the opportunity to partner with you. They're giving us money for ACT. And so, Dr. Marvin, do you want to share just some of the things that we're going to do with the ACT program? It's called Magoosh.
I would love to. Ms. Law came to us with, she is on the board and she has been talking, to her people about ACT and the need for that with their scholarship program that they offer. So we are going to start Magoosh this fall with our juniors. Those are the students that we'll be working with to get them ready, for the test in March. That is the first time, unless they take it on their own, that they will take the ACT test. This program is our goal is 30 minutes twice a week, so an hour that they will be receiving this program in school. They'll have a login, they can also work on it outside of school. They can do all the work they want. If you are a parent and you choose to purchase that for your student, Magoosh guarantees a 3-point increase, a 4-point increase. And they do that based on, you're a parent, you're purchasing this program, so we know that you're going to make your student do this program. So we are going to have our teachers ensure that they work on this 30 minutes 2 times a week for junior students, and hopefully we will see that increase also.
The good thing about this is all of the resources every teacher can use and share with their classes.
Right.
And that will equate to over 30 hours during the school year that students will be exposed to ACT prep content plus hearing ACT strategies. This is a match, so what they gave us was almost $8,000. I will match that, and we will put this at both of the high schools, and then we are going to give the data, we're going to meet, and we hope to be recipients of this next year. So we will be good stewards of that. I want to thank you, and I would like to get a picture with Mr. Ray. Ray was instrumental in pulling some of the money from CTE to help support ACT. And so let's step over here, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you.
What I didn't say, just so everyone knows, is that the students will take a pre-test, the junior students, that way we will have some data for correlation.
Poor Jennifer beside him. Look at that.
Less is best. Let's raise your arm.
Dr. Moore, I want to take one more. Would one of the board members step up and take a picture with us? Aaron?
All right, look, I'll be up high too. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much. We are excited about that and that opportunity.
When will they be doing this at school? No, what time of day? RTI.
In their Cougar Falls time at Dickson.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No more recognitions.
Next, we have staff reports on recommendations under curriculum and instruction.
ACT plan and incentives. I wanted to make sure that you knew what was happening with ACT. One of our goals for this year is to improve academics for all learners. And within that, we would like to hit 21 as our ACT goal. We're not there yet. And so we're going to put a stake in the ground that that's where we want to be. And then once we hit that, we're going to move it up to the next goal that we will set for the district. And so you'll be able to read this. You'll look at the incentives. Good Lark has spoken with us about providing money for student and teacher incentives. Time in the seat. The students who have scored or shown the most growth throughout each 9 weeks. And we spoke about maybe 20 students each 9 weeks being recognized from each school and given $10, $20 gift cards, gas cards, Walmart cards. And so we're going to look at growth there. That check is there. Okay. Miss Valerie, you have that incentive check. Thank you so much. We're very appreciative. Are there any other questions regarding ACT?
I don't have a question, but I want to comment. I appreciate your SBC style approach to that. You know, hit your mark, narrow it, hit your mark, narrow it. That's the only way to succeed.
Absolutely. You got to have a mark.
Yep.
Our next item is approval of job descriptions. You will see in the packet or in the set of job descriptions that you have been given, the job descriptions from the budget approval positions are listed in here. I have been combing current job positions for Dickson County. Some we had, some we did not. The true job descriptions that are brand new are the Director of Early Childhood and the K-12 Intervention Coordinator. In looking at Dickson County's job descriptions, we did have an old Chief Academic Officer job description. In looking at that, I took a couple of items from that, but I built it from the ground up. But we did have one, so that's not a new job description per se. It is one that has been revised. But the two brand new are the Director of Early Childhood and the K-12 Intervention.
What about the social studies?
And the Social Studies. coordinator. Those are the only three that are brand new. The rest have been adapted. But I would like, there's a lot we have been adapting and a few that we've added as new, but it would be nice to know that you are also approving the ones that I have made adaptions to. Yes, sir.
Do we have a director of early learning prior? Or
We did not.
that's a new one?
That is a new one. We did not have a social studies K-12 coordinator. That is new. And we did not have a pre-K-12 interventionist coordinator. That is brand new. New to the district. And then all the others that you see red markings, they have been revised.
Do we have any questions about any of those job descriptions?
These new interventionists, have they already been pre-approved in this new program? And has the budget already set for that?
I'm glad you asked that. The interventionist, the pre-K-12 interventionist coordinator was approved back in March with the budget. The job description is laid out today for that job. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Sutherland, the
Yes, sir.
accountability data and testing coordinator, that the name just changed. That we already had.
The name just changed. I added a couple of jobs, well,
That's
several
right.
jobs.
Several, I
together.
remember.
Anything you see in red was pre-existing.
Any questions?
You need a motion for approval of these, is what you're asking for.
Yes, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second motion.
To approve all?
Oh,
We have a motion to approve all.
hold on. I do have an add-on. One of the things as director that I have to do is to sign contracts with principals. In looking through the contracts, on the contract, it alludes to making sure that the principals see a job description for their work. What I did find was the elementary principal's job description. I have looked high and low and cannot find one for secondary principals. And so with the help of Dr. Winstead, we created one today. And that is the add-on that I would like to add. It is in your folders, the orange folder, because I feel that I need to share this job description with the principals before we do contracts. And so you will see it in your orange folder. And I am sure there was one somewhere. I just can't lay my hands on it. I have looked. We have looked. But I'm almost sure that due to the fact that we had an elementary job description that we would have had a secondary.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we've asked for time for these job descriptions to be part of our program. They exist, the jobs exist. I applaud the work because by looking at and reading over these before the meeting, there's a lot of work that goes into them. It's continuing. It will continue every year. But I appreciate the work, and I would revise my motion to add the secondary principal description for this computer.
Second.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second to approve the job descriptions with the added job description for secondary principals. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Vanderboard,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is the third grade retention law district data. And I have the real expert in the room, Cheryl Field, Dr. Field with us. And so I will be calling on her to speak through this data. But I want to be very transparent because it gives us baselines of how to set the bar for our goals. And so as we look at the third grade retention data from the 23-24, these are rising fourth graders. That means they will be in fourth grade. If you look at their third grade population, you will see the elementary schools on the left, the third grade student numbers. You will see the ELA TCAP percent proficiency from that number that sits in their schools. Exempt students, we had 24 at Centennial, and the summer camp met adequate growth for students, met adequate growth. You will see pathways to fourth grade regarding high dose, low ratio tutoring. And we know that that has been very effective. I do feel that the state, I don't like to speak for the state, but in what I read, I think the state has looked at the tutoring programs across the state. They have collected data from all 144 districts. And I think they have seen a increase in students meeting or exceeding expectations. The RTI manual has been revised to mimic what 10 All Core actually does. Now, it's a little bit heavier with skill deficits, but they see really good things about keeping students on standards when you are creating a program of support. And so I'm very anxious this year, and that was one of the reasons with Dr. Collins' work is to give her assistance with really looking deeply at supports. It's a large portion of our budget, and I'm about strategic abandonment, but I'm about keeping things that work. And so this gives her the help that she's going to need in looking at K-12 RTI, 10 All Core tutoring, the United Way tutoring that we're a part of, and any other tutoring that we offer in the district must be looked at for its success. What we need to do to keep placing those supports in helping students, and maybe what we need to add in the future, maybe what we need to take off in the future. But that's going to be paramount to what we look at this year. So you can look at that data. I wanted to show it to you and share it with you. Dr. Thiel, do you have any other add-ons or comments for this data?
Ms. Fortner did a fabulous job really breaking down. We worked together and looked at it to see the kids, how they're moving with their trajectories. And we can say that, like we said, 10 All Core tutoring, the summer camps, we're really making progress. Those students in that they did not meet category, and you guys see that column, those are students that will not be retained. They will just go on to the next grade level and continue that 10 All Core tutoring.
Yes.
So we're not retaining any of those students, holding them back. If they did not meet that adequate progress, the state has given us that pathway for additional tutoring that they will participate in next year.
Are there questions about that data? Yes, sir.
Will that pathway continue after they get out of fifth grade and on as needed? I know right now we're just up to that level, but is that the idea that they will have continued tutoring and support?
Sutherland and I have talked about that, and that's what I see happening.
Thank you.
Have a much needed law change. So,
But what's rewarding is to see gaps being closed for kids. So again, You know, you always hope that something good comes out of a challenge. And I think the 10 all core tutoring and a laser focus on things are creating some positive for kids. May not like it, but I think some good things are coming out of it. So, yep. But yes, to answer the question, if I'm predicting, I do feel that the tutoring will continue to roll. And so with that, that is a conversation of added pieces to the budget for tutors, you know, because that has to be served during the school day. So as I always say, stay tuned. We'll see.
What's the significance of the blue line?
Oh, we're not too bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So if we'll look at the next part of the data, I know there's a teacher in the house. He's jumping ahead.
Good job.
Overachiever. There we go. So our next data that we would like to see, my goal is to get Dickson County in the top 10. So we've got to believe that we can get there. So one of the things that we wanted to share, and have we shared this with principals? We've shared so much. I don't remember what we've shared. Yes, we have shared this. I want you to see who's in the top 20%. And this is an accomplishment. We are very excited about this. You can see 3rd, 4th, and 5th ranking. Where did we land? We are 3rd grade ELA. We're 27 out of 143 districts. 4th grade, we rank 28 out of 142 districts. 5th grade, 24 of 142 districts. That's to be commended. Let's look at math. Our 5th grade, we rank 21st out of 142 districts. We're actually in the 14% of the state. Science, 5th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. You can see where we landed and what our ranking is. And then social studies, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Where we landed and what our ranking is. Now, I hope that when I hand this to you next year, this is lit up in blue. And we want to continue this trajectory with our data. On the next page, you will see the 2022-23 comparison. So you can set them side by side and see where we were and where we are. And next year, I'll have both of these pages and it will say 24-25 data.
Did they remove this part for 23, 24?
Yes, because we're in a standard setting year for math.
There were some big improvements in some of those grades.
Yes.
Year over year.
And as I've always said, we're good. Now let's get better. So this is a time to celebrate, and we want to keep on that trajectory path. Our next set of data is looking at Mastery Connect to TCAP analysis. Mastery Connect cost a lot of money out of our budget, but it's to help teachers gauge what they need to enhance as far as standards and looking at standards that they may need to go back and reteach because students may not have mastered those. And so the BM number 2, BM number 3, and then you see where we landed in TCAP 23-24. We are finding, and I will ask Dr. Thiel to add any comments, that the Mastery Connect is a really good predictor. And so when we place that large amount within the budget, I want you to know this is something that I would not say strategically abandon. We want to keep this because it's helping us gauge where we are and where we need to push students. So there's a direct correlation that we are finding with this product, this formative assessment, common assessment that we truly want to keep and want to continue in the district. Dr. Field, do you have anything else to add?
So benchmark number 3 with Mastery Connect, that's where they kind of have their bread and butter at Mastery Connect and make their money, that they say that it is comparative to Pearson's TCAP and EOC. And so we agree with that at the district level. Out of the 25 different assessments that were taken for benchmark 3, 20 of them were within that 5-point statistical wiggle room of variation, so they were very predictive of where the kids were going to end up scoring. We had some that were off, that were more than that 5-point statistical wiggle room, and so those are the ones we're really digging in to see, was it the test, was it like our curriculum, was it the standards? So like Dr. Sutherland said, it really gives us a gauge to see that benchmark number 3 of, okay, if we take it roughly a month and a half before we take TCAP, so it lets us see where our gaps are, so we can really work on closing those with the students before they take the test. That last column shows you the 23 to 24 change. We always show the teachers when the kids come in, this is their level of achievement that they were at last year, and our goal in Dickson County is we want to help them get higher than where they came in. And so we also look at those shifts and those changes as well. The only one that's not, well, there's actually a couple that are not apples to apples. Whenever we talk about looking at TCAP to TCAP, second grade, we did not take TCAP, so that was just their third Mastery Connect benchmark. So that's not really an apples to apples, but the rest are actually looking at TCAP to TCAP. And then sixth grade social studies, biology, and U.S. history go off of TBAS projections. So we look at projections for those. Where does the state predict the kids to land, and then where did they land? So we can see if there was movement. So those are the things on your charts that you guys can see.
Good information.
For our teachers.
Now to the finance section, you will find in your orange folder, we had some numbers come in prior to me sending the agenda. And so we wanted to, within your agenda packet, you can set that aside. These are the new numbers that came in 2 days ago. I believe it was 2 days ago sometime. And so we'll look at the packet that's in your orange folder for finance. So as you see, this is a summary of revenues and expenditures through June 30th, 2024. Before I read, I do want to give a side note. You will see at the bottom or the top of the first line that subject to change, year-end adjustments not finalized. So I do want you to keep that in mind. Yes, sir.
Before you get going, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right one. The one that came out of my
Orange
orange
folder.
folder has our property tax at 106%, 107 in the other one. Did it go down? Is the latest numbers, the property
Yes.
tax went down?
Yes.
That happens?
That was made from the prior year, so we have to reverse it, but we'll have to put in another receivable for this year once we get those numbers, but we haven't received those numbers yet.
All right, well, I just seen it go down. I thought, well, maybe I was confused at which one we're supposed to be looking at, but, okay.
Yes.
I'm on the right
Thank you,
page now.
Valerie. Yes, that's the correct page, and thank you for that explanation of the lower percent there. So you're going to find that revenues for the 23 were a little bit higher than what we're showing now to date. And then expenditures were higher in the 2023 year than what we are showing currently for June 30th. Revenues, property tax, we just answered that difference. And then sales tax is a little lower for this month. Expenditures in utilities, you will see are a little up at 89.95%. Diesel fuel, it's showing a decrease, and gasoline showing an increase. Then I would like to, I know we have a couple of questions on this form that I'll divert to Valerie. But on the general purpose school document, the 141, if you'll draw your eyes to the bottom, the 46510 Tennessee Investment in Students, you will see that TISA has been added there. And then there is a question on the 4125 line, trustee collection. Right line? No. It's down here. I'm sorry. The 44170, the miscellaneous refund. Could you speak to that, Ms. Underwood?
My question was why the budget estimate was so high compared to what's actually come in.
Whenever I did the amendments, when I put that in, was reimbursement for the ESSER funds.
Okay.
But actually, that reimbursement
Got
applied to
moved.
the expenditure account
Okay.
rather than a revenue account. Whenever it was all said and done, but all of that kind of took place all at the same time. We were trying to finalize amendments and so forth. So that's why the difference there. We got the money. It just
Went a different place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Linda.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
and I apologize, I should have asked, probably be remiss if we didn't go back to the first page. And if someone's just tuning in and they see the expenditure at 76 million last year and this year 97, that's a pretty good change. Remind us of where those dollars generally went, some 21, if my math is right, 21 million.
Does that include the 15 million we added to the new fund? I think is the difference.
I was thinking that was probably part of it.
Yes, I'm thinking
Okay.
that's.
Look on, the third page of the summary financial statement,
Sure.
summary level total for 141. If you look down at the bottom, under 99,100.
Sure.
Transfers out, you'll see the 15 million there.
Gotcha. I just thought we'd better mention it because that's no small amount of money. So that's a project that we approved. Thank you.
Where do you find that at?
On page 3.
On the transfer out at the bottom.
Thank you.
And I think we have one other question.
I had one more on 46590, which was the other state education funds. It was another one where it was a big amount in budget that's not in the year-to-date actual. Page 2, 46590.
That is reimbursement, and that is something that will be set up as a receivable. That's summer.
It will carry over.
Summer
Okay.
school camp, yeah.
Thank you.
That's why we wanted to make sure you saw that all the numbers are not finalized.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to ask since it was a big percentage variance. Thank you. Have any other questions about the financials?
Is it safe to say that we'll approve the fourth quarter next month?
Yes.
Our fund balance, basically 21 million. as of June.
The next line item is finance.
Any other questions about the financials?
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Have a motion to approve and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vandervoort,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have maintenance.
Yes, we would like to have approval to remove one of the portables at Dickson Elementary School. Advertise. We want to advertise the removal of that portable. Yes, sir.
What does the advertise the removal mean? You want to advertise to the public
We want to
and ask them if it's okay to remove it, or ask them if they want it?
Probably surplus it.
Surplus.
Yes.
Okay. So you're asking us to surplus the
Yes.
portable. Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Get rid of it.
Motion to approve in a second by Mr. Chadwick. Any other discussion? Mr. Haley?
Will that still leave one over at that school? Probably not a fair question to ask you. You make the memory probably better than mine on that, but we voted last year to get rid of these. So what you're wanting to do now be different because you're gonna have to have it for sale as opposed to turn it down.
Advertising sale, I think this is one that will make a deal, some of them could be a deal.
So that's just, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vandervoort,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next item is the approval of the trash compactor at White Bluff Elementary, since we're moving to.
Yeah, we can move.
Okay.
They need a new one.
Yes. And the quote is $34,733.61. It's the piece of paper that looks like this. It's Exhibit 3EII. It is Sourcewell.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve and a second for the trash compactor at White Bluff Elementary. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vandervoort,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we will go to the update on the sports complex at Dickson County High School. And we have Mr. Jeff Corlew here. And I'll let him kind of just talk about that.
Yeah, right now, first thing we've got to do on the project is got to get a topographic survey. We're working on that now. The engineer plans to have that next week, and then he can start his design. We're looking at having the structural engineer here the week after next, look at the bleachers. But that's really where we are right now. I mean, I met with the turf people. They've given me an estimated, just kind of shooting from the hip, estimation of the price on it. So that's about where we're at now. courts. We've got, I think it's on your agenda to look at approving the Musco price on the ball field lighting and the baseball field. And I brought that to her attention. If you're going to fund that, we need to do it now. If not, we're going to get into the baseball season. And you can't do that work during the winter commission. We looked at the soccer field, and I don't know exactly what the use of that's going to be after you get the new ball field. The lighting levels are there about 15-foot candles where a soccer field is supposed to be 30. But it'll work fine for a public play area and walking trail. But I don't know what we're looking at there. It's got some drainage issues. Catch basins over there, right next to between the track and the field, and they're about this low. They need to be reworked on those. Civil engineers look at those. The track is in fair shape. It needs to be reseeded, cleaned up and reseeded. Moving on over, we looked at pickleball. Over here at the 9th grade annex, there's tennis courts over there that work well for pickleball courts. I mean, it has to be reworked. But the area is there, it's level. And the parking's there where people can use it. And it may even work for another tennis court. You may make a combination of pickleball and tennis, which would help get you enough tennis courts for competitive tournaments when we do the 4 new ones. Football. Let me see, what else? And I think we reported on most of all this last time. We looked at the concession stand and the restroom at the baseball field, and it needs some work to make it close to ADA compliant. There's just not enough room up there, but we can make it close, I think. What else did we discuss?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah. But that's it. We'll have more to report on next month when the engineer gets started. He's available. He's got his staff is ready to get going on this. And if we go with the Sourcewell turf people, I talked to him again. We can, he thinks he can get the field completed before graduation, but he can't get the tracks completed. And that's something you all are going to have to really think about. At some point, we're going to have to shut things down, either at the graduation or football season. Because it can't all be done. It takes a little longer. Now, you can have the field ready, but for the graduation, you're going to have your new turf out there with the track torn up around it. It's got to be moved over. So I don't know what we would do at graduation. You can have it, but we're going to have to cover that area up because you don't want people walking and grabbing and then getting on your turf field and ruining it. So that's going to be our main hurdle.
What would you suggest for a short-term fix?
You would have to cover that. You're talking about the track?
Yes.
You'd have to cover that with something.
Mhm.
It might be relatively expensive. You could cover it with like a sheet, like roofing material or some kind of cheap carpet. But I mean, it'd be pretty expensive, but you could do it. But I didn't know, I haven't been to a graduation in 35 years. I didn't know how many people there were at there. I thought it'd be on the one side. We could just do it on both sides.
It's on both sides.
I try to stay away from graduations since I don't have kids. But that's something we're gonna have to think about.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff.
Just the thought process, during COVID, we didn't allow anybody on the field. It really was smooth, so you could do that another year if you had to, but parents weren't allowed to get the students.
Just the graduates.
So you could.
We just had to get them on and off the ground. But that could be one area.
We could hurt them like cats.
Yeah, we could do that, we could do that easy. I was even thinking about one side we could cover, when you start going around that entire, that's a lot of area. That would work.
Well, it sounds like it could be done, but I do think that once we start this project, the community and the graduates would adhere to what we've asked, because I think it's sending an excitement within the community. And it's nice to know and remember that it has been done at some level.
Another thing you got to think about, right? Field turf, the people I talked to, they said they could start in October. We can get it done. Well, looking at this, I got the schedule for the use of that field, and it shows into November, which I asked Field Turf again. They said, I think we can do that, whether the weather's right. But, I think there's, they win the district or something, it's here.
Yes.
If it happened to be here, it's going to November. I just wonder if there's any wiggle room there.
One thing that we discussed, if they earn the right to host playoffs, it'd be pretty sad if they couldn't play a home game when they earn that right. That would be tough to swallow. Turf's gonna be nice, but that would be hard.
Mr. Haley?
Like the ambition of trying to be ready for graduation, but I think there's a reality because there's a lot of variables. I think there's some variables in the planning, there's some variables in what's going to be done. There's also a lot of variables in the weather. There's variables in supplies and everything. So while we might want to make graduation, I hate to see us rush a project and not get it right and then risk damage. We're going to miss something along the way. And I think the time for that decision will be a few months down the road when we start seeing this plan come together as opposed to now. But we're going to miss something. I lean towards finishing on the surface conversation, finishing out the season, starting the project for the next season. There's lots of places in a graduation.
I think the only thing stops them from getting it done is terrible weather.
It could happen.
Terrible. I've seen this company I've seen 2 fields that they totally done during the summer break. But now that summer break, at Franklin High School, we won, I think, just get very
I guess I'm just saying I don't want to sacrifice planning this right. We can make it, we can make it. We don't, but I want to get the planning process and the design right up front, but that's going to last forever.
I don't really know any time.
There's not.
There's not. I mean, if something comes up, it rains, snow.
Don't want to be rushed into making a plan work that we might need just more of a plan of the process.
And also, we got to get it designed. Which, luckily, we've got engineers that are ready to go.
These lights that we're going to discuss tonight, the baseball field doesn't really affect your design. The baseball field's not going to move, so we can move all of the lights at the baseball field fine. Is that a fair statement? The baseball field lights that are on the agenda tonight aren't going to affect any of the design or the planning. You can move on with the baseball field lights tonight.
You've got a price from Musco, who's Sourcewell. They're the best lighting people around. I think.
There's really no reason to not move forward with that.
But if you want to do it, you need to do it now because of the weather. They have to get on that field with a boom truck. You You wanna do it down when the ground's hard. In the winter time, you'll think of this up.
Mr. Parker?
I don't know how much, maybe y'all follow other counties, and I know our neighboring county tore down their bleachers for their football field, and we have multiple high schools who are utilizing each other's fields to play their football games. They get it fixed, and we're fortunate enough to have two good high schools. I think they're doing a whole lot of away games. Homecoming's definitely going to be held in the county at another county school. So that's not, I guess maybe if the administration or the principals get together and decide exactly what's more important, the football season or the graduation. I don't think both of them's going to happen. I think we'll do a lot of work to make one of them happen, but I don't know the time frames are so far on either side of the thing. But that's an option. I think it would be a planning option, obviously, with our athletic directors and the administration to decide exactly which one is more important to be done for. And at that point, then we could get done with that, and maybe we'll have to share Creekwood can share their football field with Dickson, and in the very near future, Dickson was going to have to repay that favor because they're both in the same boat when it comes to their football seasons and their graduation dates. So that's an option. I don't think it's at no, at some point it's got to shut down, and it's currently being done in a neighboring county right now. So it is a doable thing, especially with two high schools in the county.
Any other questions for Mr. Corlew?
I got one. Where are we looking to put the tennis court? Like, where do y'all look? Are y'all looking to put it right back where they were? And how many fits there? Is it 4? And ideally, we want 6. Is that right?
Yes.
That would be ideal.
For competitions.
You could hold any
Regional.
district, regional, whatever.
And where are you thinking to put the pickleball? I missed that location.
Right here next to them.
This lower
nine
campus.
Right.
Yeah.
Middle school,
Right.
The ninth grade annex right above it.
Okay.
There's a slab out there, isn't there?
Okay.
That would make one more tennis court. We might could even squeeze 2 in there. Surveyor gets where we can get you
Dr. Sutherland, I went to the Dickson County, Commerce, and the sports table, they're talking about something Hensley. Have anyone in the county coordinated that, with the board? Because they said it's gonna be a walk track that will lead from the high school, that's what Mr. Donnie said, all the way to Hensley, where it's the park now, Splash Park. Now, that state money is already funded, and we're in Plan 7 of finishing that, I think. But looks like to me, common sense would be that we need to kind of coordinate that stuff together. If you're gonna have a walk track, dog walk track from the Splash Park to Dickson High, because that's what I heard Mr. Weiss say, then it needs to be out those hills of Plummer.
Well, I don't know much about that. I did have lunch with Dr. Weiss, and we spoke about having tennis courts at the high school. And he is redoing some tennis courts, but one of the things that he asked were due to the fact of us manipulating the courts for a season, that it takes away from tournaments outside of the school setting. And so he was pleased to hear that we had placed tennis courts within the sporting complex. Yes, ma'am. Great question, and I appreciate that.
Mr. Parker?
Is you ever exercise just kind of hit me a little bit? You're talking about the not knowing what to do or not having, I guess, something currently for the current soccer field, has there been any thought of putting the tennis courts there on the, is that enough room? Is that possible to have them all six to where, I guess they were all, is there enough room? Is that dimensions right? And that way they would all be in the same location? Is that a thought or a possibility?
Where they're at, where they were, is not enough room for six.
Is the current soccer field enough room?
Yes.
From here,
Mm-hmm.
yes, but
Lighting is not enough.
that field's gonna have a lot of purposes, I think,
Okay.
with the system. I mean, it makes a good public area, it made a good practice area.
So really, all of that's gonna come out in the work session when you get your survey done too, and we're gonna get a chance to
Finish that
put all
thing.
that.
You get this field down here with turf on it, you're not gonna want every type of activity on it. You're gonna have to monitor that a little bit. I mean, you can't turn like kids loose just playing out there.
Right, right.
That field there will cover that. That was the thought. Am I thinking right?
You are thinking correct.
Thank you for the update.
Mr. Curler, do you need anything else from us at this point?
Are you all okay with the sole source church? I have confidence in them. So that, and they can help us get to the point we need to get to, because they've done hundreds of them. So, all right, appreciate it.
Which there's nothing for us to prove yet, but
Is it,
Source
Mr.
Well.
Corlew, is it Sourcewell?
Source, well, they're in 2 or 3 different.
Okay, but that's the name, Sourcewell. Yes,
I get my words mixed up.
that's okay, I do too. Since we were discussing the baseball lights, you do have Exhibit 3.C.I. Would we like to talk about that and maybe approve the baseball lighting for Dickson County High School?
are you just wanting that one approved, the baseball for Dickson?
Currently, yes. I think, Mr. Jeff, I'm going to put you on the spot again. In looking at Dickson County High School baseball field, this is the only one that we have discussed on approval, correct?
Right, they've given you prices for, the baseball field at Creekwood. Of course, they've given you prices for the new football field. The only one that I've heard more interest about, well, the only reason this one up here is very important. The light levels up here are dangerous. They're about half of the foot candles are recommended for baseball. So, I mean, if the board, wants us to look at the other fields, we can.
But right now, we're just asking
For Dickson
for the
County.
Dickson County, $189,000.
That's what's on the agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Underwood?
is this bid gonna be good? I know it says it expires in June.
It's good.
It's still good.
Help them stay.
Make a motion to approve the lighting for the baseball field at Dickson County.
Second then?
Have a motion to approve the lighting at the baseball field at Dickson County High School in a second. Any other comments or discussion, Mr. Parker?
Well, how, I guess I can't remember off the top of my head, how are the poles? Are we doing poles, or does this include poles, or we got good poles?
Well, they just go back on the existing poles with LED.
We got steel poles or concrete poles already in place?
They're one or the other.
Okay.
They're concrete.
Okay, we got good poles already in
Yeah,
place.
they've already looked at the
And-
field, and we did the photometrics on it, and their engineers
I know I'm reading the word LED. I just want, are these the same lights that we put on our softball fields? Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Corley, what's the time frame?
I talked to Doug Brennan, who does all our installation, he's gonna try to get it in by October, around October, September, October.
Good. Thank you.
He lives in this county, so he wants to make sure he does it when the weather.
I think folks have been tapping him on his shoulder enough.
Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderbilt,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
no
Mr. Parker.
recess.
Yes. We'll recess for 5 minutes. Is the DMS painting bid.
Yes, if you will look in the orange folder of the added agenda items, you will find a sheet that's entitled Dickson County Board of Ed bid tabulation form for October the 19th, 2023. Dickson Middle School was bid out for exterior painting. The lowest bid came in at $102,500. My ask is, could we approve the low bid here and finish this process out so that we can start exterior paint for Dickson Middle School? I would like to take the funds out of the capital outlay fund line item where I have $1 million there to pay for this cost. Dickson Middle School is one of the schools that we have on the list to look at. But I feel that the capital outlay could pay for this cost expenditure. But it needs to be approved. We did not follow the full process here.
We didn't approve it then?
You did not.
I prefer to Mr. Hall to make sure that we can go from there.
Okay, Mr. Darrell. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear what Mr. Head.
I said, defer to you on the process. If we didn't vote on this before, can we still vote on these bids?
When was the bid?
October 2023.
I'd have to go back and look at the bid documents to see how long we advertised it and that sort of thing to see. I mean, I would probably recommend we defer action on this, but either let me look at those bid documents, or probably, depending on what they say, and I doubt that they're still valid, we'd probably have to re-advertise it. Just off the top of my head, but I don't know.
They were, you may have found that was advertised in the paper. There was a pretty good conference. There's only 2 contractors, I believe, showed up at that. They were the low bid. Did speak to the low bid contractor, and he said he would still honor his price. But as far as how long Ms. Frazier always advertises it for whatever the law requires as far as advertising it, if you're asking that question. But I don't know that there was any specific cutoff date listed to that, and he said he would still honor that price.
And
It went through the normal bidding process.
I mean, what my question is as long as the bid documents didn't have a end date on them, then we wouldn't need to rebid it if he's still going to honor the price.
Yes. And of course, on this document, these prices were good through December, even though it was good through December of 2024.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're good.
So we're still
We're good.
within the.
We're still within the
Right.
window. Yeah,
It was bid in different projects.
I got you.
And we accepted the bid on certain pieces and parts of that. So it was, all of these were bid as a whole. I mean, bid with different projects in it, one total bid. And so that's how it was enumerated out in October, whenever it was approved then. But these bids, these bids were all good through December 2024, because with the thought that we'll do this now, and then whenever the new budget would be approved, then we would do some other pieces and parts of that.
Then it does not need to be rebid, and we can approve it.
Thank you.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Just to make sure we're approving the 102,500. Is that what we're approving?
Yes, sir.
That's my motion.
And out of the capital outlay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderboard?
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon?
Yes.
Mr. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have update on projects.
Yes, and I'm going to defer to Mr. Gerald to give us an update on the projects. If you look in your orange packet, you will find a project update document.
So I'll just scan through that. If you have any other questions, I'll try to answer them. I know Dr. Sutton, you sent me an email, an update for Family Welcome Center. We will finish that project tomorrow. I think we have 2 stop signs come out down there and put the countertop in, and then we'll turn it over to Ben and Scott and Illusion. They've got to go in and mount their computers, and then they've been down there doing everything else, but they can't actually set their computer monitors till I get the desktop in tomorrow. So I think all that'll close. They'll probably be there Monday. Time we'll get everything done tomorrow. They'll probably be there Monday, and then we'll turn the key over to the school for that. Creekwood Gym Roof project is done, and if you got any specific questions, I'll refer back to Jeff here in a minute. We turned that building back over to the school on the 23rd, so this past Tuesday. The manufacturer, I put in these notes, manufacturer will be here on the week of the 5th, and I believe, did you tell me that's sped up by a week? Maybe they're here next week, one day now. Which just commissions it and gets the warranty started at that point. So if they push that piece off for 6 months, I couldn't care less. It just extends the warranty on that. So I think that's a 20-year warranty on that piece. The air is on and running in Creekwood Fieldhouse. We turned that back over to the school. That air has been on since the 16th of July. Everything appears to be working fine. They'll commission that on August the 2nd. I did not want to try to do that on the first day of school. And the detention pond, I guess they had some drawing issues on the concrete structure that goes back there behind the high school, so they had to work that out with engineers. I think they approved that on the 17th, got the structure ordered on the 18th, and then it's not slated to be here now until August 1st. So shortly after the start of school, we'll be up there behind the building working on that. We hope to have it done earlier, but one of those pieces going.
Gerald, would you give an update on the CTE project?
So I think the board members spoke with maybe Mr. Little. There was some issues with some maybe existing detention ponds, and he's got the engineers surveying those. So my understanding is when they get that done and be ready to go bid, those detention ponds are at the edge of our property, leading off the hill to the neighboring property. And I think they want to get those corrected. So they've got the facility actually. I think last month on the building itself and finishing that up. So I think we're down to the detention ponds and civil engineers.
Thank you for the update. I would like to give a shout out to Gerald's men for helping to oversee the project here at this building on the painting. It looks really nice. And so, shout out to the maintenance department and Sheriff Eads' team.
Next, we have human resource report.
Yes, that is in your regular packet, the human resource report. You will see we have 2 retirements. Anna Marie Daniels, English teacher at Dickson County High School, 12 years, and Wade Daniels, bus driver for 34 years. We want to congratulate both of these folks on their retirement and wish them well. And you can see resignations, level of absences, non-renewals, hires, transfers, assignments, and reassignments. The next item is.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Just when it says like, just for instance, when it's saying a job title to an interim job title to another one, that just means they're not an interim no longer. Like an interim secretary to a secretary
Yes.
means they was an interim and now they're hired as a regular secretary.
Yes.
Thank you.
Their job is no longer.
On the last one, Raleigh Weary says that she was a 5th grade art teacher at Creekwood. Or was she at Dickson, or was she at Charlotte?
Where is,
Very last one on resignation.
oh, she was at Creekwood.
So was she an art teacher?
It's not fifth grade, it's Creekwood.
Okay.
That's a typo.
I saw that. I
apologize.
thought, I don't know which one that was.
It's,
Thank you.
so on to transportation, we're going to look at the 23-24 transportation yearly board report. I want to commend Miss Melissa Garten on her work with transportation. We're still 7 bus drivers down for this school year. So if you would like to be a bus driver, let us know. Come by the board, go by transportation and see Miss Melissa Garten. She does a good job. Miss Garten, would you like to say anything about this report?
This our next year's report, we rode around 5,800 miles this year, every day. It increased because of our after school program. And it's, Tim Barr used to ask how many times we go around, we went around the world 47 times. So we drove over 1 million miles. Our ridership increased a little bit because of getting over COVID a couple of years. And so that's kind of picked up. Probably will pick up a little bit more this year. And my mechanic stayed busy. We had almost 1,800 work orders. So other than that, we're moving along, trying to find somebody to drive. Got any questions? I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Miss Melissa. Are there questions? The next item is surplus items for transportation. We are looking at buses and sub buses, special ed buses, and we would like to surplus or give the band 2 of those special ed buses and then donate one of the buses to the Dickson City Police Department. Miss Garten, would you like to add any details there?
These are buses that's either aged out or we've had a lot of trouble with. One of them actually was totaled out about 5 years ago, and we have totally stripped that bus down from the windows to everything out of it, to the seats. There's nothing left but shell. I'd like to actually take that one and scrap it to scrap. We won't get $500 from it at sale, if anybody even wanted it. So I'd like to take that one to somewhere and get it scrapped. We also have some old tires laying around. The little wooden portable building in the parking lot, it's kind of in bad shape. We'd like to surplus it. But the buses, we have parted some of them out. The police department has showed interest and actually sent an email to maybe get one of those to use for their team. And then, of course, the band, we're gonna take the seats completely out, so it would be a surplus bus, out of service bus. They would just be carrying their equipment.
Yes, sir.
You'll be removing stop signs and the flashing lights off of the ones that we donate to the band, is that correct?
And they'll also be doing that for the ones who donate to the police department.
And the ones that would stay in the school system, like the ones that we give to the band, will you and your mechanics maintain them for them? Or how would that work when they need to get something worked
I
on?
spoke to the band director and told him that we would maintain it up to $1,000, which would be probably 4 tires, and then they would have to take care of this.
Okay, I'm all for 100% give them to the band if it helps them out like that. Always want to help the police department out too, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Melissa. Are there questions?
I'll approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vandermark,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have under student services, DHA members.
Madam Chair, Board, every year we have to put a list of individuals that can help with DHAs. I have listed individuals that could help with this process, and I am asking that you approve this list of individuals for that purpose.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve in a second to approve the disciplinary hearing members. Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderborg?
Yes.
Mrs. Brogdon?
Yes.
Mr. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have field trips.
Yes, as you can see, our Dickson County soccer, there's a soccer tournament in Gatlinburg in the fall, and Dickson County High School has asked that be approved, and you will see all of the information with the agenda attached and a list of chaperones. Dickson County High School volleyball tournament at Rocky Top Classic Convention Center in Sevierville. And you see that the parents of the girls that play will be the chaperones, and a short agenda for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's it on the field trips to be approved.
Got a quick comment, I guess,
Yes.
on the, and I know it's necessary, I know it has to happen, but we have one of these where they're going in personal vehicles that at some point over the next short period, we review and make sure that our procedures line up with the insurance requirements and things that are tied to that. There are some guidelines of minimum insurance and things like that.
Yes. By my understanding, the parents are carrying their own child to that tournament.
Right, I think that.
But yes, you're correct. There are
I think
guidelines.
when it becomes a school event, if they're driving their own child, it's one thing. If they're driving someone else's child, then they have to have certain limits and certain documentation.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's hard to think that there won't be a child driving somebody else on these events, either to and from or while you're there, to some degree.
Okay, and we will make sure that we check in on that, and I will give you an update. Mr. Holly, thank you.
I don't know if I need to update much, just a refresher since it's the change of administration and
Yes,
reminders from the guidelines.
It's usually coming through the coaches.
thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the field trips and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderborg?
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon?
Yes.
Mr. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mr. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have school support organization renewals.
Yes, we're looking at, Mr. Holly has been working with schools. The added form was from Creekwood, and we have the Creekwood Booster Club. We have the Charlotte Elementary Parent Teacher Organization, the Creekwood End Zone Booster Club, the Creekwood High School School Band Boosters, Creekwood High School School Performing Arts Club, Dickson County High School Band Boosters, Dickson County Athletic Booster Club, and Dickson County High School Cheer Alumni Association. And we have no longer a part of that. Mr. Holly, you want to add any?
Just the Creekwood High School Performing Arts Club is no longer an organization. And the Dickson County High School Cheer Alumni Association is no longer, they're not in that. They are not in that package. They were last year, they're not.
Thank you.
Question.
Mr. Holland, Mr. Hagland.
Well, last year we had some latecomers. Do you expect some of those to come back or do they withdraw? Procedural.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve in a second. The school support organizations. Any other comments or questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderport,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
We have in your orange folder added under the administration policies. When we were at Gatlinburg Summer Law, I made notes of the opioid antagonist policy that it's brand new that I would like for you to look at so that we can approve it next month. And then after we had a think tank regarding NDA, we pulled policy on Monday and realized that our policy, in order for us to re-image NDA, we needed to adjust some of our policies. And so, and then our last one that I would like to talk about is the transportation policy that I brought to you last month. It will need approval. And so with the opioid antagonist policy here, it is requiring that we have 2 AEDs for every school. Currently, we have 1 in every school. But the good news is Dr. Collins has written a grant from the Firehouse Subs grant that if we get that grant, we will get an additional AED to place in all of our schools. Dr. Collins, do you want to briefly talk about that grant?
Miss Morrow actually brought that to me. It is through the Firehouse Subs franchise. And so that would allow us to have an additional AED at each school if we receive through the Firehouse Subs grant.
What's the price of an AED?
15, 18.
Policy is over opioid antagonists. It's actually Narcan.
Oh, is it?
So that would be what we would be putting in 2 unlocked locations in schools. We do have AEDs in the schools and are looking to add more to the firehouse. But the policy is regarding Narcan.
Okay, sorry.
Am I right in saying that Narcan, like a junkie on the street, the cops throw Narcan on because they're overdosed and fixing to die?
Yes.
Is that Narcan?
Yes.
Can we have that problem in school? We could. Okay.
So is it state law
Yeah,
that's,
it's a new law,
Yeah.
so we.
And we would have to have a plan of action for training and all of that. But once we approve this, then we'll come together to talk about what that would look like within our schools, and then I'll share that out.
As we go through these, can we approve these readings separately? Is that okay with you, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion to approve the first reading of this.
second?
We have a motion to approve the opioid antagonist policy 6.4052 on first reading. Any other questions or discussion?
Do the SROs carry Narcan with them? Do you know?
I do not know.
Who says no?
No, he says no. The SRO in the back says no. Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderport,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next policy that I would like to look at is the policy 6.316 to revise it with the re-imaging of NDA. You will find that in the orange folder, and what we would like to change is in the yellow. What I would like to strike is the last sentence. We want to put the new Directions Academy can be used in lieu of the out-of-school suspension for 4 but less than 10 days. If a student is suspended, their parents can, we would give them the option of going to NDA over being suspended and sent home. And then bus transportation will be offered because we have discussed that sometimes transportation creates a burden for the parents, and we find that students are not coming to NDA. And so we want to alleviate that because students don't have a choice if their parents won't bring them due to work, due to other things. And so we want to make it an option that we could bus them, but then provide, having a parent say, instead of a child going home and gaming and doing what they want, we would like for them to go to NDA to complete their work, and they still get counted as present.
Comment.
Yes.
Let's go to the striking the 2, adding the 4.
Yes.
Is that when a principal suspends a child? So a principal can suspend a child for 3 days, not having the option for NDA, but if 4 days more, you would give them the option to NDA to serve out their suspension?
Yes.
Okay. Second question. So if someone lives next to the interstate at the 172, that kid's going to NDA, or we're going to send a bus down there, bring them all the way to the north side of Charlotte? That I mean, that's what the policy is going to read.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure it is. You know, and I'm going to speak with this as a parent. I'm all about NDA. I've been all about NDA since I've been on this board, and I want the growth of it to help our system. When a child does something wrong, what makes me mad as a parent is when it burdens me as a parent. And at some point, if a parent doesn't care and they're okay with, yeah, go over there and go over there, when you get in the parents, I got to drive from the other side of the interstate all the way up to Charlotte to bring them to school because you did wrong. You're going to have some discipline at home. If it was my kid, they would. And I think putting the burden on the parent to help discipline them at home and not just leave it up to the school system to raise your kid, because that's essentially what could happen if they just said, you know, but where's the kid better at? The kid's better at school if he's got a bad life at home. So I'm mixed on that a little bit, because I think if we want to help the kid and the kid has a better life at school than he has at home, then we want to send the bus. I don't care how far we send it to give him school. But yeah, I think I'm speaking for the majority of them. When a kid makes a mistake and needs to be punished for his actions, my kid's gonna get more punishment at home if I gotta take him to that school. So.
And I agree. We're torn too, but we do see absences at NDA. There's a lot of things that are repetitive and habitual there. We could strike that to say bus transportation if there's hardships, and we could define that so that it just doesn't make it a blanket statement for bus transportation.
And I mean,
but there are kids that need that their parents will not send them due to the fact of their work.
Well, they will when they go to the judge, but and that may be what the parents need to send their kids to school. But it's very open, because it says bus transportation will be offered, and I would hate to know that I don't know. We're going to offer bus transportation. We're not going to, if we got 14 kids in NDA, we're probably not going to send out 14 individual buses to go pick them all up. But what if we got kids that are in there because Mr. Steve and Mr. Kirk, they got in a fight at the school, we're not going to go and put them same two kids right on a bus and let them sit next to each other and hold hands. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a broad. It's very broad, and I don't think that
Yeah.
we want to put two. Because I assume that you get enough fights in school, going to eventually end up there. I don't know if mixing you with other kids on a bus with a bus driver who's 20 foot in front of you is the best idea either. So I don't. I wish we can look into that just a little bit better. I hate to put it off, but can we change it at the second reading? Can we? If we is that
Yes, sir.
I mean, these are students anyway, aren't they?
They are.
Aren't they on a bus route?
They are.
Well, we used to, I know when I was at Creekwood, the last bus in at Creekwood, the ones that were going to NDA were out at a certain location and they got on the bus and they were carried to NDA. I mean, we're not talking about running a bus extra, are we?
Well, I get what you're saying is depending on what the incident is, you would have to look at. And we did talk about that in the think tank that we had. And that's why we called it maybe a hardship, where we're just maybe, and this, we probably should have looked at that, but if it's a hardship, looking at each case individually, because they're great in all things, but creating the opportunity that if the parent could not send the student, that they're not penalized for being out of school. Yes, sir.
Why don't we just say the transportation shall be at the discretion of the principal? And that way, I think that person is qualified to make that decision. They're in charge of that building. Why not let them make that decision? And that way, there's some discretion there. They're going to be the ones that are looking at the situation anyway.
How many other vehicles do we have? I know we have one that goes to School for the Blind every day, but are there other?
We're planning on doing the trade because I have special needs buses that go all over the county. So we have a lot on the north side. We have two that will actually try to go pick up all these kids and carry them on a special needs bus on the north side with an assistant. If I can't do that, then their regular route bus, we put them on the front seat and bring them to the high school, and we would send them over. In Charlotte, they can drop them off right there at India. Vander, they'll have to transport from home on a big bus. We would transfer them over to the bus that goes to Charlotte Hill and drop them off. White Bluff, my intention is if we have any from White Bluff, if we can get them there on a sped bus, we will. If not, a big bus would drop them off, we would transfer the bus. Burns Middle, same exact way. So yes, we're utilizing all of our buses.
Would you consider placing, Mr. Kurt, what you brought up, the principal and or the DHA team?
Sure. Yeah, but you're giving some discretion to someone over the building or to the DHA. There may be a reason some reason.
Decision
on this transferring. I mean, that's her expertise, right? Transferring kids. So I'd like to have her in on that conversation. She needs to know what the offense is and what she's dealing with. Right?
I'm going to pull the DHA list, and if she is not included on that list, could we add her and go back and approve that list? And then she could help make that decision, and then it wouldn't have to be written in policy. She would be part of the DHA. I'm trying to find the list.
You wouldn't have to be the DHA list because not everybody on the list is involved in the decision, just the ones on that DHA. So that. Can I add a couple comments to that? I think Mr. Manafort told us something.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on the school board has been sheltered from this conversation since you've been on, but some of us have dealt with this for 16 years, and you will for the next rest of your term deal with this. It is ongoing because there's so many variables. It was good thing Mr. Felton, I thought you agree. But I also watched years ago how different management things by every one of your comments, but I think we used to have it where there was that there was a decision made at the building level, and it was gone with the DHA. But I think the discretionary suggestion that Mr. Vanderbilt made is probably the best because it leaves every one of them individually. Ms. Garden and her team worked in transporting in the past based on the need, and they do a great job, but there's so many variables with it. And I think that by putting it discretionary, you give the principal and the DHA team, the director, whoever's making that decision, you give them some discretion, but you also leave any appeals that might come about back to the board, and you will have those. We've had it before. But there are so many variables in each student's life, what they need. That discretion needs to be there. And the transportation also needs to be there. My question to Dr. Sutherland was, what about kids that get in a fight on a bus? And it's back to discretion. If a kid is fighting on the bus and they're kicked off the bus for fighting, they're not going to be put on the bus and carried to NDA. So I think that discretion is the key. And it's going to be a growing process. It's going to just be getting this started. I think that works to give them that discretion to let it work. That's it.
Could we say something like, on that last to determine on case by case basis for can't read.
Transportation may be provided at the discretion of the principal and director of schools. And
With the DHA director or their designee?
Principal and director of schools. Or
Principal
director
and
of schools
Okay.
or assignee. That covers about everything.
Okay. Director of schools or assignee.
Designate.
Okay.
And then one last thing, Mr. Parker mentioned at the very beginning, and I understand his question, that greater than 4, whenever he said, if you 4 days, then you have the option, but reading the wording, I hate to be wordy, but it says greater than 4, which would be 5 or more. So it should be equal to or greater than 4 days. If we're going to use the 4 days at the point they go to NDA, and that was what you were getting at. Mm-hmm. But the wordings would say 5 or more.
Okay.
Now, is that,
This has got 4 to 9 days, basically. It's got to be less than 10.
Mm-hmm.
just to dig into it just a little bit deeper, is it greater than or equal to 4? But is that only at the only person that can place the kid in NDA is the director of schools, right? So that would have to be the director of schools' decision.
The DHA.
Okay.
DHA's decision.
It would be their decision to allow them to go to NDA other than out of school suspension.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Holly.
Anything over 10 days has to have just to clarify.
Yes.
Just trying to pull that out of my head. That's what.
A fight might be a 5-day suspension. Principal would do that. Second fight would be 10 in certain rules. But a hearing is usually anything over 10 days.
I like
Part of
the,
what he's saying, if you get in a fight and get 5 days, you can go to NDA as opposed to serving being home for 5 days. But at ISS for the rest of the reason.
You get to count your work.
okay.
It worked well before.
Yeah.
It worked very well.
Move to approve 6.316 as amended on the first reading.
Do we know what the amendment is?
Yeah.
No, we're gonna see on the second. We're gonna see on
Greater,
the second.
greater than, yeah, 4, greater than.
Was for director of school and or assignee is what I think.
Designate.
Greater than,
More is what we're doing days.
5 or more.
5 or more.
Is that what was said?
I thought it was greater than or equal
Which
to.
greater than 4 is 5.
Yeah,
So,
greater than or equal to 4.
so we're going to
Yep.
say it's got to be 5, not 4,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
5 or
that's what,
more. Okay.
5 or more is greater.
5 or more.
Okay.
Okay.
Was your intent to make it 5 or more, or was your intent to make it 4 or more?
That's what I'm asking.
What do you want that to be?
Well, when we were all talking about that for NDA, we said 4 or more.
Then-
It just depends on the incidents.
Make it 4 or more instead of
Mhm.
5.
And we were looking at being able to make up your work. Mhm.
4.
Yeah, 4 or more instead of.
Up to
9 or less, right?
210.
We're still looking at 9 or less.
But that's the.
But less than 10, yes.
Okay, let's,
Okay.
We used to.
Hospital, get to work in NDA, and get to work back. By the time you got to work over there, already coming back. So the minimum usually is 5 to go to NDA. So however you want
Okay,
to word it. So 5 or more.
5 or more.
Okay.
So let's change that.
Sorry.
On the 10-day, less than 10, that doesn't need to be there because at 10, you have a DHA which handles that. So just put 5 or more and leave it at that.
Okay.
It does the same thing.
Yeah.
That's a 9, 10 doesn't make that.
Then we're going to stick with transportation shall be at the discretion of the principal or director of schools or director of schools designate.
Yes.
Did we not say that discretion of the director or designate?
Yes.
Principal out. You leave the principal out,
We're going to leave the principal out?
because then you put it just in their hands. I think that's what you recommend, Mr. Hall, just principal or designate. That is a director or designate, which is a principal.
Yes, that's.
Okay, director of schools. No. Okay.
so we're gonna make the principal.
Remove the principal.
Any other questions?
Is that his motion?
I think.
Yes, my motion was to approve as amended on the first reading.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second for approval of policy 6.316 on first reading as amended. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderhort,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
The next policy also deals with NDA on alternative education. As you see where we struck out that last part of the sentence, you see again, bus transportation will be offered. And we would put in from that policy we just approved, director of schools and or designee to make that decision. And then on line 13, that sufficient textbooks, equipment, instructional materials we wanted to add and supplies shall be provided by the home school that suspended the student.
Motion to approve on first reading.
Motion to approve, policy 6.318. Are you adding the,
Yes, as
at the
as-
discretion of director or designee to match the last policy?
yes, ma'am.
correct?
Uh-huh.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderhort,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
And then the last policy is the transportation policy on student transportation management. This policy was brought to you last month for the first read, and this would be to approve that policy.
you remind us was this a new policy or was this just,
It's Garden.
Bill that went through the vote line. Basically, it's taking it from the Board of Ed to local boards. Be responsible, say that a driver is mentally and physically capable of driving a bus, which the verbiage in the DOT physical say mentally and physically. So what we're wanting to do is to add to include an annual DOT medical evaluation on the approval of the FMC as a medical report. Our drivers have an annual DOT physical every year. It's on a form already that says mentally and physically, so what we're wanting to do is to say that that DOT physical from that examiner
Meets these criteria.
meets that criteria. And if we do a pre-employment on them, they go into the DOT physical also.
Move to approve on second reading.
have a motion and a second to approve policy 3.400 on second reading. Any other discussion? Mr. Parker?
Do we write this policy or do we pull a TSBA model? Or
I can,
just added that
and
line?
I'm pretty sure most of it comes.
TSBA.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Vanderboard,
Yes.
Ms. Brogdon,
Yes.
Mr. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Okay, next we have director's report.
Well, it has been a very busy summer. And we are excited. I do have a few things to share with you. The 10 All-Core Tutoring Program was recognized at a conference in Nashville on the 17th of July, and Melissa Sutherland and I went up and presented the work. There was Sonia Johnson, who is the coordinator of the United Way, asked us to speak to a group of folks from Washington, D.C., their education department there. And they were very impressed about what Dickson was doing, the data that we're collecting, and the information that we give out to parents. And so anyway, that was an honor to do that, and I was excited. It's always nice when someone else notices the work that you're doing. And so I wanted to let you know that that happened. Dickson County has been asked to give the NAEP, and that's the National Assessment of Education Program it's a national test that asks 17-year-olds across the nation to take a test on math and ELA, and we will be doing that sometime between January the 27th and March the 7th, and they have chosen Dickson County High School to represent a school to represent Tennessee. And so it's always good to see that type of assessment because we're put up against students from across the nation. And then I would like to give you, most of you may have seen this already, but I just pulled it this week. The 2024 Higher Education County Profile. Has anyone seen this? And you can see, I like to see the high school graduates from Dickson County with the top schools that they are attending. You can see that Nashville State Community College, we had 44 register, Austin P 43, TCAT 32, Tennessee Tech University 27, and UT Martin 17. Now we know we have several students going to Freed-Hardeman or UT, but these were the top schools that most of our students were applying to get into. But I just wanted you to see this data and what our community numbers and percents were. I think this is a good report for us as educators and also in setting goals. Good stuff. We've had 2 wonderful administrative days. We were with our district leadership team. We're with our APs and principals on the 16th and 17th. A lot of information shared, and I think it went well. We will survey those principals and APs to get their feedback, and I'm interested in what they have to say. I've heard good things. I would encourage you as board members to reach out to those in attendance who were coordinators, the district leadership team, APs, and principals, and get their feedback. Reach out to some of them and talk about what was introduced. I did introduce and let them know that we met collectively at the retreat. We shared the vision, mission, and goals, and themes that would help us get the goals, and that is the rigor, relationships, the relevance, and the relentlessness. And I have addressed all of the elementary division today, and yesterday all of the secondary certified and staff. And so I will meet with the maintenance department. I have met with transportation, but I will go back because I forgot to give them their wristlets. And so working together, we will go from good to even better. And we're going to believe that we can be in the top 10, but it will take all of us in every division to get there. The Board of Ed, of course, is painted, and we're so glad that we can put this place back together. It has been, it's been trying, but we know needed. I think it has brought a little bit of excitement that we do not have to see the yellow anymore. And I think this goes better with the carpet. So anyway, good things happening. I want to give a shout out to Miss Sue Stringfield, Misty Hodge, and all that were involved. Our Oakmont Elementary School TLC will open August the 1st. And believe it or not, we only have 3 spaces left. So that tells me, as a director, I need to look for another space. And so, stay tuned. That's going to happen. And we know that that's needed. We have hired 1 lead teacher, care worker, and 2 assistants. And I have to give those 2 principals kudos for that. And we thank them for their leadership. One of the things that I've heard you say and ask for were, how many people do you have on contract? How many coaches do you have in the county? Well, I'm going to provide that information for you. This is rough. It's going to change because my next conversation is flag football. So I wanted to give you what we have currently. And you will see that I have different people on different contracts because the work is different. We have bus drivers on 120-day contracts. We have Kimberly Daniels, art coordinator, on a 100-day contract. We have 120-day contracts with various individuals. We have assistants on 120-day contracts, daycare workers, system-wide as needed contracts. We have RTI coordinators that work on hourly contracts. And then coaches, I have given you the number for each of the schools. Faculty, which is certified, and non-faculty coaches per school. And I will continue to give you updates as we add. And this is the first time that you've heard this, but we will be adding bowling to middle school. It was in the budget. The coaches was in the budget. It is something that was asked when we had our think tank. around flag football. We had athletic directors there. The athletics of the middle schools asked if this were possible. And Miss Linda was at that meeting with us, and it was already there committed. We just had not pushed that to the next level. And so I would like to push it to the next level and offer another opportunity for kids. And so those numbers are in the numbers that you have received. So I presented flag football to you at our last meeting. And with that, there was a $98,000 projected startup amount. The think tank got together and we looked at ways that we could cut as much as we could without really interfering with what this could really look like. So when we all put our heads together, we had the right people in the right seats with the right conversation with the athletic directors, Mr. Holly, leading this work. These are the startup costs that we came to. Uniforms, middle school, high school, with a total of $6,600. Footballs, a total of $1,980. Flags, $1,980. Mouthpieces, $450. Concussion caps, which we think is very needed, $7,200, and supplements, which are our coaches and assistant coaches, $50,850. We would like 30 players per team, head coach and 2 assistants for the high schools, and a head coach and 1 assistant for the middle schools. We had originally placed 2 assistants for the middle schools, but calling in the athletic directors, they felt that we could eliminate 1 assistant, but making sure that since it is a girls' sport, that we would never have a 2 male coaches in any form of that coaching duo there. I am asking for fund balance money to start up this sport. For me, in looking at our athletic funds that we give to each of the school, it's to maintain what is pre-existing. I think as a director, I need to ask for startup cost for something new if it has not been in the budget, and that is something that when I took this seat, that I would be very transparent with you and ask for the needs and opportunities for things to come to play in Dickson County. I feel this is an opportunity for girls and to add a sport to the high school. It will roll into TSSAA the 25-26 year. This would give us a year to work out some of the kinks, but what would be really nice is to ask our middle schools to have their own flag football team. What I think I know to be true, that we would be the only school right now that would create middle school teams. I have not heard of another district having this opportunity at the middle school level, but they can play themselves. But I'm a true believer in, if you're going to move from good to better, if we get these young ladies playing this sport in 6th, 7th, and 8th, they're going to be great players at the high school level. And I'm about being in the top 10% for academics. I'm about taking it to regional for sports. And so when you look at that, that means let's get them better at the front end. I know that the YMCA even has younger players of flag football. And so I think that would be a great partnership. Yes, sir.
What's the time frame on the season of these two sports?
Yes.
Of these high school and junior high?
Spring.
Spring.
They start a practice, I think, in February, Coach Holly, and they would start playing around March.
Would be during boys soccer. And that's for both the middle and the high.
Yes.
And how many schools, other than ourselves, are going to be playing that?
Other districts?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We know that Williamson County's blowing it out of the water, and that is their number 2 sport for girls. We know that Clarksville has started this.
Junior high and high school?
No, we will be the only one for junior high.
Yeah. Who are we going to play?
Ourselves.
Junior high. Yeah, ourselves.
We're going to play each other. I think that starts, I think the community will support that. Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir. Would you like to share?
What Williamson County sounds like every can do it also. Play games, Sunday country, 30 hours. It won't affect other spring sports. Girls could actually play more than one sport.
What other sports going on? The softball? Track will be going on.
Everything. So when Williamson County, they allow them to play with.
Yeah. Tell me the year again. This is going to be for 24-25.
Yes.
So
That's when it'll be.
25-26. It'll be sanctioned for high school 25-26, but we would like to start the 24-25 year here in Dickson. That would allow the high schools to work out any kinks that they would have and make any adaptions needed. And then for our middle schools to play and just have another opportunity.
You're wanting us to approve this for the year after this.
I'm wanting you to approve it this year.
25.
And we'll play 24, 25 years, what she's saying, but it'll be sanctioned like it's delayed 25, 26. But we'll start this year, spring of this year.
You have to add this to next month's budget, I assume, to vote on it, right? Or, I said budget, I meant agenda.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought her going one place. So,
We'll place it on next month's agenda. Okay.
Another opportunity.
Another opportunity. Thank you. That's all I have to share.
Okay. And next we have comments by DCEA.
I'm getting ready to go back to school, and I have heard wonderful things about how much I it's all about professional development. And that is in no small part to your transparency, Dr. Sutherland. They are excited. I'm more excited than I've seen in years. So we are definitely ready to go back and welcome our kiddos. DCA has been busy. We had our back to school social, our 4th annual social. We had over 100 people attend, including Dr. Sutherland and some of her office. So that was wonderful. We had catering provided by Boardwell 615, and they were so cute, little charcuterie things for the racers and pencils. We had 8 teacher vendors, so teachers who also had a side hustle, and we had over $1,000 in door prizes that we were able to give out. So we actually furnished some new teachers' classrooms. So that was exciting. We're glad to do that. A little bit of business. One of the best things about being in the association is that we get to lobby for public schools. And Ms. Wilson and I actually were lobbying on Capitol Hill over spring break. And so at the 113th General Assembly, there were 500 education bills that were introduced. And I just wanted to talk about a few of the ones that TEA lobbied for, that we helped lobby for. So Public Chapter 989, TEA worked, this is the one about the third grade retention law, and TEA, we were able to negotiate that law down to where parents and teachers now have input on that bill. Because before we lobbied that, there was no input at all for parents and teachers. So that is definitely, that was definitely a win for us. Public Chapter 915 requires a suspension for students who assault teachers. I thought that was a really wonderful bill, and it requires the district to support the teacher in prosecuting the students who assault her. That wasn't a thing until we lobbied for that. Public Chapter 1005 increased the duration of a teacher's license to 8 years, so now it won't take us, we have longer time of duration before we have to renew. It allows for teachers to give zeros instead of having to give a 50 or a 60. That is one of the things that the association lobbied for. It moves the school improvement plan from every year to every 3 years, which is also very nice for principals. They don't have to worry about doing it every year. And moving forward for the 114th General Assembly, we are very excited to be partnering with the Tennessee School Board Association and the Superintendent's Association to fight vouchers again for the 8th year. Betsy DeVos has put $73 billion into Tennessee for voucher funding. So we are definitely in the fight for that this year. We are also fighting to reduce the number of standardized tests. That's one of the things that TA and DCA are lobbying for this year. And we're also looking to repeal the punitive A through F grading scale for schools. So just wanted to give you a heads up of what we're doing on Capitol Hill and trying to make a difference and change for public education.
Thank you very much, Carrie. We appreciate your partnership.
Okay, now I think we're gonna go to executive session.